Recording in progress. What are we talking about? Leadership. Leadership. Yeah. Big thing right now. Everybody's a leader. Who are the leaders? Where are the leaders? Where are all the leaders, Barry?
I think leadership's a little bit like a word that's become like entrepreneurship.
Oh.
You know, if you can say it, you are it. But it's like that. But isn't it?
Yeah.
And to be frank, it's a bullshit in the world. It's just because people can say it, they are it. You can say you are anything, and you can pretend to be it on friggin' on TV, and you can pretend to be it on social media, and then you can bullshit people into believing that you are.
Yeah, you can offer
that wonderful saying, you can bullshit some of the people some of the time, you can bullshit most of the people most of the time, but you can't bullshit all the people all of the time. The problem is there's so many people so good at bullshitting
all the time
that they're bullshitting all the time and then changing the people that they're bullshitting and moving on to the next people. So yeah, I like that actually. It's like entrepreneurship. Just because you can say the word like leadership doesn't mean you are one.
Would you not say it's the same as like business owner? Just because you can say that you're a business owner doesn't mean you're one.
Yeah, because just because you can say you're honest doesn't mean you're on the path. And just
crazy.
You know, like, favorite words, trust me.
Oh man, because you know we're gonna be starting to get that, because now we've got a date for the elections in the municipal elections in South Africa.
2037. No, municipal. Yeah, no, that's someone will extend it. Trust me, it'll be extended. Anyway, okay, so there's date for municipal elections, so we're going to have lots of...
trust me.
What do you want? Trust me, I'm going to deliver, and then sorry I couldn't deliver.
And
no, we never say sorry I couldn't deliver.
Why would I say sorry?
No, you got a free t-shirt, so don't complain.
How dare you?
Yes.
I controls on your back. And that's, you know what the crazy thing is? So yes, we're not... I think it's very important from a contextual point of view. We're not talking about leadership in politics, right?
I just think we're talking about leadership in general.
Yeah.
It's just leadership. The function of leadership, to lead, to be in front, to, leadership is not, I'm going to tell you what to do and you will do what I tell you to do and I will do something different. To lead. You lead your family, you lead yourself, you move forward in a direction that hopefully is better.
Yeah.
Or you're moving yourself out of a place that is dangerous to lead into a place that is better.
I mean, so I think the first piece...
They have us a freaking title and we think we're a leader.
I think the first piece that you said is important, right? Lead yourself.
Yeah, lead yourself first. If you can't lead yourself, how do you lead other people?
People don't think about it like that, Barry. I'm sorry. I got a title, so I'm a leader. But it doesn't matter to me what is next. I'm a leader.
Sometimes you're titled buffoon.
You voted for that.
I've been a titled buffoon before in my life. Because I've been titled... Well, wait, have you ever had a title and not really known what you were doing?
Yes.
Yeah, well, and then instead... Wait, no, you can stop being a buffoon if you actually go, hey, I don't really know. I'm prepared to learn, to teach me how to do it, but people just think because I have a title and because I have an education and suddenly I'm the leader.
I'm not a buffoon.
Goodness me, I mean, there's some people with titles and education, and would you ever follow them?
No.
Flipping heck, man.
There's a lot of people on my timeline, on my news, on my feed that I would not follow that profess to be leaders. And that's the thing. It's easy, like you said, it's easy for me to say the words, I'm a leader. And then what?
So sad part of the world at the moment is that people just spew bullshit. Excuse my language, but they just spew BS.
There's a lot of it. That people don't even want to take the time to actually decipher what is... Literally, you don't actually have to decipher it. It's actually quite clear what's bullshit and what's not.
Well, it's the game of if believe what you want to believe, if it justifies your narrative. It's maths. Well, so people will speak to people's narratives and then you find a group of people who you're selling to so that you can justify the narrative. I'm Paul Broken. It's not my fault. So you stand up and say, well, it's not your fault. It's everybody else's fault. So you get people to buy in. Well, think about it. Environment is greater than will. Probably one of the most powerful things I ever learned from Kelly Ritchie is environment is greater than will. So you create the environment, and then you hold that environment, and you will connect with people within that environment.
Mm-hmm.
So you bring people, you go into an environment, you bring people into the environment, you find out all their complaints. Well, it's not my fault. I'm a victim. It's everybody else's fault. And then you start feeding that rhetoric, and you start feeding the mindset and the little voices, and that's what people believe.
Mm.
So, and how do you get out of that? You have to change the environment.
Okay.
And so moving into the negativity is always the easiest way for people to go.
Yeah.
Because it takes way less effort. So that's why so many leaders in the world will push down the negative rhetoric, because it's easy for people to go. It's easy to create populism, easier to create populism on negative stuff. I mean, just look at all the stuff that's happening in the world, not just here. People are talking about in South Africa, kicking out illegal immigrants and all that, but it's happening in the States, it's happening in Europe. It's there. Why? Because
It's the rhetoric of the time.
well, but yes, it's a rhetoric, but also it's a breakdown over time. It's easy to blame the current leaders, but over time, over years and years and years, it's a breakdown in leadership. It's a breakdown in environment. It's a breakdown in context. It's a breakdown in holding the space. It's a breakdown in making sure that the things that are promised are delivered on.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that's it. If the things and in the world, and I blame the leaders, and I blame, but if you want to look at blame, it's easy to blame different races, different people, different colors, different cultures. But at the end of the day, it comes down to leadership.
Yeah.
Well, leadership throughout the world over years and years and years that have not led, that have had their own agendas and served their own agendas. And you can take that into business. That happens in business. And ultimately, that's what creates businesses to fail.
Yes.
Is that leaders break the context, leaders break the rules, leaders break the values, leaders break the code of honor, and everything falls down. It happens in sport because that is the role of a leader. The role of a leader, in my opinion, is to create an environment and maintain that environment so that people within that environment can succeed safely. Not succeed easily, but succeed safely. See, in this world today, people want it to be easy. So people will stand up and say, I will lead you to something that is easy. We'll give you free jobs, free this, free that. That's easy. But that's not how we are designed as human beings. We're not designed just to sit around and do nothing and get something. Because if we do that, we are out of exchange. We are out of reciprocity. That's not how we designed as human beings. That's not how the world is designed. Everything operates in exchange.
Yeah.
The animal kingdom operates in exchange. There's full exchange and balance. You become the hunter. The hunter becomes the hunted, and if the hunter hunts too much, then the hunted fails away.
Yeah.
Then the hunter will deplete until and so balance works. But as human beings, we are consistently getting out of exchange. We're not managing exchange. The principle of exchange is one of God's laws. Very simple. It's one of God's laws. Doesn't matter whether you agree with it, identify with it or not. It doesn't matter. It's like gravity. And I say this in a lot of my seminars. It's the principle of exchange is like gravity. If you don't identify with gravity, I don't know, you're anti-gravitarian, square hat, round hat, flat earther, whatever you determine yourself to be, you can tell people as much as you want that I don't identify with gravity and gravity doesn't exist and it's some man-made thing and it's because of people like Sudi and it's the Sudis that do gravity. You get my point. Well, go onto the top of the roof, jump off. Gravity will identify with you.
It's just it's just a theory.
And that's the deal with exchange.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in exchange, it will identify with you because at some part we will always get back into balance.
Would identify that he is crazy. I'm just freaking.
But does that make sense? And I just think that's our problem in the world is leadership is so out of exchange and we are out of exchange with leadership. How are we out of exchange with leadership? Because we don't hold people accountable anymore.
Yeah.
And then because we don't hold them accountable, people don't want to hold people accountable because they also want their opportunity of doing the same thing. So we create huge imbalance. And that happens in business, that happens all over the places. Well, my boss is not doing it, so I won't do it. I have a job, but my boss is not doing it. And my boss is doing this, so I'm not going to do this until my boss gives me more.
Yep.
And then we go out of exchange. But no, it's my boss's fault that I'm not doing it. No, it's not your boss's fault. You made the choice.
Yes.
It's irrelevant whether your boss was doing it or not. You can still make the choice to do your friggin' job.
Yes.
Because you are getting paid to do your job.
Simple.
So you manage exchange.
Oh.
Okay, in my business, if none of you are doing your job, well, is it fair for me to say, well, the reason we don't have any money is because I didn't decide to do my job because none of you are doing your job. Well, we're all going to go broke. And business will collapse. And guess what? Everyone's put into exchange.
But then I can tell people that it's Barry's fault because Barry didn't go out and do the damn work so that I could get paid.
100%.
How can they say that I didn't?
So driving this exchange is a core function of leadership. And exchange comes from agreement. Well, the best way to manage exchange, not that it comes from agreement, the best way to manage exchange is based on agreement. You and I agree to do something.
Yep.
I deliver, you deliver, we're in exchange. I tell you I'm going to do something, you give me something, and I don't deliver, we're out of exchange.
Yes.
It's the same thing. So leaders will stand up all over the world, both politicians, business leaders, community leaders, mouth off about what they're going to do, how they're going to do it, how they're going to deliver. Everyone in return gives them votes.
Yep.
Or puts up their hand and agrees that they're going to be the chairman or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then they don't deliver. They are out of exchange. Go fix it because you are out of exchange. And then they make excuses and justify it's not their fault, change the rhetoric. And that's been happening in leadership for years and years, hundreds of years.
Millennia.
And we've people, I'll say it again, entrepreneurship is just as easy to say as leadership. And just because you can say you're a leader doesn't mean you're a friggin' leader.
Yeah. You're talking about the environment is greater than both thing, and I was actually listening to our dear presidents give a speech for the new acting police commissioner. Also, sorry, I've been wanting to say this to you for a while.
How long did people act
This
before they actually do the real job?
finish my thought, please.
Just a quick thought is that do you become acting, and that means acting means to pretend.
Yes.
I'm going to pretend for the rest of my life, which means I can't be accounted.
We've got like 3 acting police commissioners at the moment, I think. Something like that. But I wanted to ask, I would like to be suspended. I would like to be put on special leave. But I still want to get paid. See, why is it funny when it happens in business, but we can do this in our freaking police force? People are getting paid for not coming to work. Oh, it's under investigation.
We're out of exchange.
We are out of exchange. But so anyway, he puts this new lay into the acting role. And basically they were talking, the questions were, how do we actually fix the rot? There's a rot in our police force. How do we fix it? And immediately the first thought that popped into my head was environments is greater than the world. The new young cadets that are coming into the police force are seeing the way that the police force is run. Of course, like any business, right? I'm a new employee. I come into this business. I see, oh, okay, so we say that in our contract we finish at 5, but we actually know off at 3.
Yeah.
We take monies here and there, not a lot. We take 50 rand here, 50 rand there. Oh, so this is the environment.
Yeah.
I'm not going to come in and try and change that. Because if I feel like I'm going to stand up like a sore thumb if I'm saying no.
Well, that's a great example because, when you go back to environment is greater than the world, you go into an environment, you have a couple of options.
Yeah.
You can, you become like the environment.
Yeah.
You quit and leave the environment, because it's against your values, morals, ethics, or you stand up and lead and change the environment.
Oh, here we go.
Very few people are strong enough to stand up, lead, and change the environment. Agreed. So most people will succumb to the environment. They'll become like the herd. Cows get up every morning, go get milked, get let out of the gate, or go down to the paddock, follow each one, head up its arse.
Nor did you mind things.
And not once growing up on a farm did I ever see a cow going in the opposite direction saying, hey dudes, the water sucks in the way. I'm going upstairs to drink. Or upriver, upstream. Never. It just follow. And that's human beings because it's so much easier, even when human beings know that what they're doing is not right, we'll justify why it becomes right. We'll justify.
Everyone else is doing it.
Everyone else is doing it, so we creep. We are very good justifying beings. So then we don't take responsibility. We go what we call below the line. Wonderful, wonderful terminology that I learned from my mentor, Blair Singer. When you take responsibility, you go above the line. When you don't take responsibility, you go below the line. You make excuses, you blame, you justify, deny, and ultimately, if it doesn't work out, you quit. But those three things, and that's what you see with people. Yes, but everyone does it. Yes, but this is what happens.
Yeah, yes,
And
despair.
and so that's what happens. So you get people join the police force, and they start off, hopefully most of them, wanting to serve, protect and serve. That's why they did it.
I would imagine.
I think that's largely changed in the world today. That people are so desperate for jobs, they'll take anything.
Yeah.
And then they figure out that the opportunity in some police forces has additional commission in it.
Hey, I didn't know that you could do that.
So, and
Commission-based policing.
when other people are doing it, you have a choice. I'm either going to quit because I don't like being here, or I'm going to stand up against it, or I'm just going to become like it. And then over a period of time, people become like it. That's why, you can move into a neighborhood that was really clean and tidy, and 2 years later, it's a shithole. Why? Because someone moves into the neighborhood, they start throwing their garbage away, neighborhood goes down, someone sells next door, next person moves in, and within 2 years it becomes squalid.
Yeah.
Why? Because over a period of time, someone came in and shifted that environment, and the people within that environment weren't big enough to go across to that person and say it's not acceptable, sort your house out, because they don't want conflict and confrontation.
Yes.
And they're scared of confront. So we'll just leave it. We'll complain, but they'll also go off and complain everywhere else to everybody else about, these people moving into our neighborhood, but they don't go sort out the first person that should. And that is one of the biggest problems in business.
Yeah.
Is that you have a team who's functioning pretty well, and somebody comes in and doesn't function, and the team doesn't hold them accountable and say, look, if you got to play in here, you play the way we play. And if you don't want to play the way we play, move on. And then they leave them. Oh, it's not my job, and it's not up to me, and it's the boss's job. And they don't say anything. They hide away from everything, and suddenly that person affects the next person, and suddenly that business is just a shit show.
Yeah.
No one's doing anything. It goes from a pretty good functioning business to the same guy, because they broke, in our world, context. Their cup is broken. They've broken the rules. They've broken the code of honor, and they will justify it. And then people will sit down and guarantee what happens. People don't take responsibility. They don't say, oh shit, that was my fault. I should have actually, when that person first moved in, I was the one that realized, and I didn't do anything. Because if you don't take, look, it may be too late, but if you don't take responsibility, then you're going to repeat it somewhere else. And that's the path. And you see it happening all over our world. You see it happening in our businesses. So those of you that want to safeguard your businesses, create the right context, lead from the front, create the rules, understand your code of honor, be clear on your values, and flip and live those values. I'm tired of going into businesses, having a look on walls and seeing a set of values that have been written by some marketing guru, and no one in the business lives it. You're wasting your time, man.
Nobody.
You're wasting your time. You have shit on the wall that are totally incongruent with who you are.
Yeah.
But why bother? It's just a marketing slogan, and it's not who you are. Just rather take them down.
Yeah, rather.
People actually just admit that these are just for marketing to pretend who we are.
This looks good.
Yeah.
When our customers walk in, it's something that looks good. Funny enough, so I don't know if I told you the story. When was it? Like, it was last year. If you remember, I don't know if you remember hearing about the Ethiopians that were being kept in houses and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Last year. Funny enough, in the area that, I'm not going to say the name of the area, but where my mother's house is.
Yeah.
Next door was actually a place where they had illegal Ethiopians.
No way.
And one of the people that reported it was my younger brother. And he was terrified to actually report it, right? Because he was like, there's something going on here, right? What did these people come after me here? But he knew that was the right thing to do.
Very good.
The crazy part is that eventually they managed to escape the people.
Yeah.
And then they jumped over into our yard, broke stuff. But they were trying to run away. So he had to basically go to the person who was asking these people. And I said to him, I think you need to go with the cops.
Yeah.
And he said, I've been trying to speak to the cops. They say that if I don't have proof, there's nothing I can do.
Oh, wow.
And I said, the proof is the people running in the street, half naked. There's clearly proof. But I'm saying all of that to say we live in societies, right, where, and I feel like that's where people give up, is you try and you try and you try.
Well, when you're dealing with people that should be taking responsibility, abdicate responsibility because actually they don't want to do anything about it.
Or they are part of it,
Or
to some
they
extent.
either don't want to do anything about it, or they're part of it, or there's a bigger game being played.
Yeah.
And we're actually just not sticking to the core fundamental basic rules.
Mm.
And you just look over time, Suli, every society that's broken down,
Yeah.
every society that's collapsed, every empire that's collapsed. Why did they collapse? Because they lost the rules, the code of honor, the values, and the ethics that made them great. And that happens in business, if you to say, is they lose what got them to where they're at. And so there's two sides to it. Is one is you don't change the operational structures, okay, as you grow, and two, you lose your behavioral structures.
Yes.
So you, as you bring in more people, and as more people grow, and as society grows, your culture gets diluted. And when your culture gets diluted, it's like, I mean, I was having a look at, all the stuff that's happening in Durban and now in Joburg, and I'm watching lots of Zulu guys marching up and down in the streets and all that sort of stuff. And but what I was thinking was, is I have no idea, but it will be quite interesting in terms of culture. Is that the Zulu kingdom is what is, and in history is one of the most feared fighting forces on this continent, if not in the world, in terms of who they were. Now the question is would that still apply? Has that culture been held that strong that those men are still highly efficient warriors, or has that culture changed? I don't know. Bordering on, So what is this? What is the strength of the context? Does that make sense? Or has it become a, it's like we talk about it, but that's not who we are anymore.
Yes.
I'm not sure because it's like, it's the older I get, I talk about when I was in my teens and I used to get into lots of trouble, get into lots of fights. I could throw the odd punch. I wouldn't say I was the best fighter, but if I'm still living in that, that's who I used to be, but I'm not anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not who I am anymore.
Yeah.
But I still hold on to that culture that I'm a fighter in terms of that. Well, if I get into a fight now, I'm going to get the shit kicked out of me. Because and I think that's the same as culture is have we maintained that culture, or do we live in the past of that's who we used to be, so that's who we think we are, but we haven't reinforced the culture. We haven't held the culture. Does that make sense? 20 years ago we started this business, or 10 years ago we started the business. This is who we were, and that's who we've always been. But if you really examine it, are you that?
No.
Have you diluted, or have you? What has changed? Have you got bigger, or have you got smaller? Have you got stronger, or have you got weaker? Does that make sense?
I think that's such a good question in like a business context. And I don't think people actually look at that, right? It's like, yeah, I'm gonna have like this business for 10 years, I've had this business for 20 years.
Who have you become?
Yeah.
And do you still think you are who you were, or have you changed, and have you changed consciously or non-consciously? And are you examining that? Because it was just a thought. I was looking at some of those men, and I mean, dressed up in headgear and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
The one guy I was looking at going, wow, he's in a really lacquer pair of Nike Takis. I wonder if, I don't know, Lobengula would have.
I don't think Shaka was running around in the new Nike trailers.
but so for me, it was like, and I'm not going to go and step into the middle of Durban and go test someone's fighting prowess right now.
Really open.
But does it make sense? So what I'm saying may be a little bit challenging. Well, it's actually more just in the context of we are we who we really came from, still, or not? And have we really maintained that culture?
No.
And if we are trying to act like the culture we come from, can we handle
What comes of it?
what comes with it? And if you take that, there was just an analogy back into business. As your businesses grow, are you expanding? Are you strengthening your culture to withstand the heat and pressure that comes? Or are you living in the past thinking that you were still that person or you're still that culture, but you're not anymore because you haven't safeguarded it? I don't know if that makes sense.
Right. And I think that I would say that no. It's just in base of what you say. I think, and it's something that I think that we live off it in the context of, yes, when we were doing X, we were great. So because we were great, we always going to be great. But things change, people change, times change.
Yeah.
And I think that's where businesses I feel like that's where businesses miss stuff, right? You see a lot of businesses that have been around for years, but you really haven't changed. And sometimes you look at that and I think people within the business look and go, yeah, but that's a good thing. We haven't changed.
So they've changed. They've changed, but they haven't upheld their culture.
Context, yes. Your corporate context.
So their culture has been diluted and got weaker and weaker and weaker.
Yes.
But they're not going back looking at it saying, what are we doing? What made us great? I mean, America, for me, America is a great example. Like America, don't like America. But what made America great is what they're breaking at the moment, and not what Trump is breaking. I believe what Trump is trying to recreate is what made America great again. America was a conservative Christian-based country. That's what, and this is not a religious discussion. It was freedom of speech, free for all, freedom of. It was capitalism.
That it was religious, to be honest.
No, it wasn't religion, but it was based on
Religious
Christian foundations and Christian values. That's what it was based on, and it was freedom of speech. It was freedom of religion.
Yeah.
Okay, and it was the land of opportunity, and it was the land of capitalism. You come and you had an idea, you could chase that idea.
So I think it's very, very important for people to understand we are not going back to where Christopher Columbus and the Native Americans, because this could very easily happen online. So I just wanted to be very clear about what in the speech.
Yeah. We're talking about what made in the last 225 years.
Yes.
Since the American Constitution and Jefferson and those guys.
All the stuff that people are gonna.
But all the plus stuff is history. They created what it created.
Yes.
Without all that history, that would never have been created. That's what people also miss. Without history, you don't create the next piece.
No, fair enough.
But in modern America,
then
I look at modern America in the last just over 200 years as the world's modern empire.
They're the past.
But the world's modern empire. What made them great is what made them great. Their context, their culture. But over the last 40 years, that's been eroded.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been eroded. Family values have been eroded. Capitalism's been eroded. America's becoming more socialist, communist. And you can see it. And it'll be really interesting to see how it survives because it's lost how it survives in terms of will it remain so great or will it not be that great? Does it make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think that my take is, in all honesty, on America and where they at. So, and I've said this before. My take is Trump's first win was brilliant because he did something that not many have done before, barring, I would say, Obama. They gave something that people can latch onto, right? So make America great again.
Yeah.
I can latch onto that because if I'm an American, I want it to be great again because when America's great, I'm great.
100%.
Now, obviously, that switch has happened where make America great again is not worthy because for a bunch of different reasons.
So like I would debate that. Look, I think makes America great is I think there's so much media happening that you've got to be careful at what rhetoric you listen to.
No, of course.
So I think Make America Great is still happening in many, many circles. I think
the macro crowd is depthful in there. He's in turmoil with the rich. I would say this is the people that put him in that spot. He's no longer
Well, I don't know how we approve that, Subi.
on his Truth Social. He's fighting with Candace Owens. He's fighting with Tucker Carlson. He's fighting with Joe Group.
But I get that. But those are also, that doesn't mean that's his whole base. That means those are opinion pieces.
No, but
Those okay. Those. So I think in the world we've got to be very careful.
yeah,
There are influencers.
yes,
It's everyday people.
for sure.
That what the everyday people think is not necessarily what the influencers spout off.
No,
Because the influences can shift and change very fast.
Whenever they
you watch it. I've watched Tucker move over 2.5 years, 3 years.
and exactly.
He's changed his viewpoint like he changed his underpants.
I like it. Like, and I think it's just maybe because of the way like he questions people like this role. That's something I really enjoy.
That's fine. It doesn't mean that because he's an influencer, everyone has the same opinion.
No,
That makes sense. So I think in terms of communication, we've got to be very careful in that. Is that we tend to follow in this world what opinion pieces say.
yeah,
Mouthpieces.
yeah.
And again,
Fair enough.
if you have a big following, you have a big mouthpiece. It
Massive.
doesn't mean that everyone follows what you say.
No,
You know, I like listening to Joe. I don't necessarily agree with everything that Joe says.
Yeah.
I listen to Tucker. I don't agree with everything.
this is be a crazy person to do that, right?
So I think Candace Owens has lost the plot.
Candace was losing the plot a while back.
Like, but does that make sense? But
Told you.
but the reason I ask that is, where are the real polls? You know, where are the real polls that are measuring what the real people in the field think? Because we don't really see that.
That's a great question.
Because a lot of those polls,
It's
again, are biased. So they are biased polls. You know, our Minister of Sport here, Gayton Kenzie.
yes, the man, the myth, the legend.
One of the funniest flights I've had is I had the opportunity of having an amazing discussion with him flying back from Zimbabwe a couple of weeks ago. And I was asking him how things are happening, and he said to me something that really made me laugh. Since we're talking about it, he said, you know, maybe I shouldn't say this.
Go for
But
it.
anyway, he says to me, people keep following the polls. There's only one thing a poll should have, and that's a stripper. And I don't look at the polls as strippers, so I don't look at any polls. I was gently tell. It was so funny because, and in its wonderful straight way, as in he tells it like it is. It's the same thing because we have these flipping polls,
Yeah.
and people go, "This is what the poll says," but who are you measuring? So when you say that he's losing Trump, or go back to Trump, maybe he is, maybe he's not, but there's no definitive thing that still he is.
No.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that, yes, they're upset that the fuel prices got up, but on the other hand, they're not upset with what America's doing to Iran.
Yeah, I mean,
So
look, it's like that. I like
it's like anything. You have to have the good with the bad. So
Yeah,
you see, in the world today, everyone wants good.
yeah, so,
It's easy to jump on the other side
yeah.
and say, I was looking at watching a piece yesterday. One of the senators was grilling Pete Hegseth.
Bad boy Pete.
And the guy says to him, yeah, but before you hit Iran, why did you do a due diligence on how it would affect fuel? He said, look, mate, and this is paraphrasing. He said, look, mate, very simply, do you want higher fuel prices and a huge nuclear risk? Or do you want no nuclear? Do you want lower fuel prices and a huge nuclear risk? Or do you want no nuclear risk and huge fuel prices? Because you have to make a choice. Now we can get into debate on who's right and who's wrong. I get that. But the reality is those are the both sides.
Yeah.
When you're on the other side, you can make the judgment that, oh, you didn't look at fuel prices and you're doing this. But the same politicians who would have taken on Vietnam and taken on Iraq and done other things they did before, because there was the other side, they were justified. And that's the problem we have, is that the world is so divisive over being right and wrong today that we've lost our ability to unite, to discuss, to have opinions.
What I think with that is, and it's such an important thing from a leadership perspective, right? I think it's about being very careful about the stuff that you say, especially in this day and age. And I think when it comes to like the Iran thing, the one of the initially it was we've obliterated everything. There's no way they can build a nuclear weapon. Then it's, oh no, we gotta go back. And I was like, why did you guys say the word obliterates a bit? Why are you guys giving Trump words that he probably doesn't know and he doesn't need because they didn't obliterate it and now you're backfighting? But if I go to what you actually say, with them, and it's leadership in general, actually, the flip flopping of leadership. 100%. You guys were there when Trump, I mean, when Bush was going to Iraq and justifying.
But it was okay for the Democrats to go to Iraq.
It was justified, but now Obama was doing it. But now when Trump's doing it, because you don't like Trump and you don't like what Trump is doing, that's what you. But in all honesty, I'm just sitting and I'm going, who is actually suffering is the people globally. None of you are thinking about that. That's just my take. My take is none of these people are thinking about that in that.
But that's the rhetoric is what they say is we're thinking about the people. They're not. No, they're all thinking about themselves.
Yeah.
You know, we did that.
How do I stay here?
We did that podcast a while ago where I don't know. We did that quick calculation about how many politicians and bureaucrats, 60 or 600,000, whatever it was.
No, 60.
60,000 throughout the world control 7.5 billion people.
Yeah. Mouthpieces.
And the reality is what have they created? They've created division. They divide and conquer. It create all these little factions fighting with each other while people all around the world share the spoils. And that now, because this is a business podcast, that goes back into business. You watch managers do that.
Yeah.
They divide their teams, so their teams are so that the manager can be the man in control.
Because I've got both sides. I play both sides.
Well, sometimes it's 3 or 4 sides.
Yeah.
Divide or conquer. Move this person, say something to this person about that person, you know. Tell that group. Yeah, I tell Sully over here that keep doing your job and you'll succeed. And then I tell this person, you're doing a great job. You'll get that as a soup. And I'll create you two competing and I'm in control of the two of you and I don't unite.
Yeah.
But eventually that house of cards falls down.
Big time.
And that's where we're at. So many places in the world. You see it coming out in business, see it coming out in families, you see it coming out all over the place. And it comes back to the fundamental thing that we started with.
Yeah.
It's easy to say I'm a leader.
Yeah.
That word is very easy to say. Leadership. I'm a leader. Why? Well, I have a title.
So let me ask you a question. And I think, so the names that I'll rattle off, there'll be some people who disagree because people just want me.
But disagreement's great. I think that's what people get wrong with us is I love disagreement. I want you to come and have it rather than attacking.
Okay.
Attacking is not disagreement.
There we go.
Disagreement is very different. You know, calling me and you an asshole because we have an opinion. Okay, that's just attacking. Disagreement is, hey guys, thank you for your opinion. I have a different opinion. So great. We'll have some dialogue.
There was a clip that we, for one of the episodes, and I think we were talking around leadership and we were talking about Nelson Mandela, which I think we both agree he was one of the greatest leaders that's ever existed, right?
Yeah.
One of the comments we got back, which was an attack, which is, you guys don't know what you're talking about. Mandela sold out black people. Da-da-da. And I went, whoa. Now I'm like, whoa. Stop the bus. Where did Mandela sell these black people? Because as a black person, I don't remember getting sold. I don't understand. And I was very close to going into a back and forth. And I realized very quickly, this is just going to be a back and forth with somebody who wants to disagree with me or the sake of disagree.
100%. So they're not open to opinion.
Yes.
They're not prepared to engage. And, you know, one of my favorite flip charts is the coin.
Yes.
And we've done it a couple of times. Those of you that have never seen the coin, go into the podcast and look at two sides of the coin. When you go to the edge, you create power, Suri.
Yeah.
Because you open up your mind to listen to other people. You do not have to agree, but you open up your mind to listen to them.
Yeah.
To some extent.
100%.
So exactly that. I think Nelson Mandela was an incredible leader.
Yep.
Did he have faults? We all have faults. Goodness me, we're human beings.
Yeah, but I feel like he had to make some deals to make things happen, right? He had to. It's the way the system was.
It's the art of negotiations.
100%.
But it's also that everyone wants what they want as long as they get what they want without not giving away what they don't want to give away.
Oh.
And that's not how world works. You know, you live in a family. You live in a family. You want to create balance with you and your wife. You have to give and take.
Yes.
You have to be able to say, okay, on a Sunday I'm not watching soccer because we're going to have a family day, but on a Saturday morning I'll watch soccer. Does that make sense? But people don't want to do that. I want to watch soccer because I want to watch soccer, and she's whatever shape is because she's not letting me.
Yeah.
No, leadership is the ability to create balance.
Okay.
And when I mean, goodness me, if you put me in jail for 27 years, would I come out with revenge in my heart?
Yeah.
I honestly would like to think I would have.
As somebody who knows you, I know the type of person you are, but something like that, I think that you would come out guns blazing.
And well, it depends on it would have also depended on how big my mission was. It would have depended on and
sacrifice.
And what would have been the sacrifice to get that mission done. I mean, I'm a very mission-driven person.
Yeah.
But I'm in no means going to say that I could have done that. So that's not what I'm saying. But when I look at someone like that sacrifice he made, were there other sacrifices, huge sacrifices for many, many, many people? So I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But when you look at a man like that, goodness me, he led from the front.
Yeah.
He came out. He spent 5 years I think 5 years president.
Yeah.
And he stepped down.
He was the
Which liberating president in Africa stepped down after their first tenure?
No.
Well, you tell me.
He knew what he knew that he had.
How many liberating presidents in Africa who fought for independence stepped down after their first tenure or their second tenure and handed over and created the next step?
No idea. I think it's not.
I would hazard a
Most
guess.
one.
It's him. And I look at that and go, wow, there was a man who stood by his word.
Yeah.
And so, yes, there's lots of things when we look at, hindsight is an exact science. I would have done it different, and I would have done this. Well, none of us were in that position to do it.
So, of course you would have done it differently because you know different.
Question is he stood out with a whole group of other people and led.
Let's go.
Now that's the context. You dig deep, and I'm pretty sure people will give us facts and I get that, but in the context of leadership, how many other people are doing that? How many people are in their everyday work, not even to change a country, in their everyday work, are not standing up saying these people are stealing. I'm going to lose my job. These people aren't doing their work. You get that? It's all very well for all of us to point fingers at someone who's actually created something different. And when we look at our own lives, we go, okay, where are we doing that where are we not doing that in our life? So would I look at him as a great leader? Yes, that's my opinion. I think it was I wish I had been able to meet it. That's where I sit on that. Next one.
I mean, next one would definitely be Martin Luther King. I mean, in terms of the leaders.
Yeah, I think, again, lots of people will say why they didn't like Martin Luther King. That's great.
But it's funny enough, the sellout thing is mostly what people had, right?
It's opinions, man. Because
no, most people would have, and we've had this conversation before of where it was, and this is based off like research.
You were a Malcolm X man.
I was very much a Malcolm X man. Still a Malcolm X man. So do not believe this. I can take pieces of what Malcolm X stood for.
Great,
right? By any means necessary for me is ludicrous because I kind of go, oh man, I'm not gonna kill somebody, but that's by any means necessary.
So, but you 15 years ago, would have friggin' argued left, right, and center why
Malcolm X was the man and Martin Luther King was
solid. But as you open your mind and you go, okay, so there's some great things Malcolm X did.
Yes.
And there's some not so great things.
100%.
So you tell me in a life where you've only ever done great things.
Man, I wish I could.
Okay, well, just today, tell me where we haven't made some mistakes.
Yeah.
So just take AB, and the problem is in leadership at that level, you get so highlighted, and everyone has an opinion. It's true. So everyone, as Michaela is fond of telling me, Dad, everyone has an opinion, even an idiot.
Yeah.
So I look at Martin Luther King. Well, did he stick with his mission?
Yes.
Was he focused on his mission?
Yes.
Did he do everything in his power to accomplish his mission?
Everything.
And did his mission cost him his life?
Dead.
Goodness me.
Dead.
But well, tell me, how many of us every single day are fighting the fight that's going to cost us our life? We're going to work. We're not fighting the fight.
No.
We're not. The basic fight for every single one of us is do what we said we were going to do and do it today.
True story.
And if you do that, well, you're making something different for the rest of the world. Guy like Martin Luther King, man, he changed the world.
Completely.
That's leadership.
Yes, it is.
He changed the world. He led to create a greater good for the greatest number of people.
Yeah, I think I read something, or maybe wrong, but you guys could check it. But I think they said without Martin Luther King, America would have taken another 50 years to actually get the liberation.
Well, he was a game changer.
Pivotal leaders.
So people like that come into the world.
Yeah.
And you're always, it's the one thing I have learned in personal development, Sully, is the bigger you get in life and the bigger your mission and the bigger your goal, the bigger the supporters you get, but the bigger the opposition you get. It's just when you're a little person and you're making no effect, well,
You're fine.
you don't need opposition.
No.
Because you're opposing yourself. The bigger you get, well, you just look at Trump. The bigger Trump has got, the bigger the support he's got, the bigger the opposition he's got. So that's why when you say, oh, MAGA's running away, I'm like, maybe not. Maybe just the opposition has become way more vocal and the supporters are being drowned out. I'm not sure. But the support grows. The bigger your support grows because you are doing something in the world, the bigger the opposition gets.
I mean, we were talking about it when he was just Trump, the real estate guy. Everybody loved it. He was in probably every hip hop song that it was.
We never heard of the people that didn't love him.
No, because there wasn't that. The opposition wasn't that.
But they were there. They were there in business. They were there in property. They were there. You hear about the people that complained about he was a tyrant in the building. They were all there.
Yes, but not to this magnitude.
Well, no, because
opposition
in his realm,
because he's bigger.
Now he's one of the biggest beings in the world at the moment.
Yeah.
So with leadership comes opposition. With leadership comes support. With leadership comes opposition.
A lot of be prepared for both.
No.
So let me wrapping this up. What do you think has happened to leadership in the world, and how do we get it back?
Well, I just don't think we teach leadership anymore, Sidi. I think we talk leadership. I think people intellectualize leadership. I think that's a lot what it is. It's
like people, it's a picture like
it's fluffy bullshit. People aren't doing it. I think, and I don't know. My view on leadership is do what you say you're going to do. Go do it. It doesn't mean that everything turns out perfectly. Yeah. What it means is that if you say you're going to do something, go do it. If you're going to stand up for something, stand up for it. That's leadership. And lead from the front. One of the greatest leadership lessons I ever had, again, from the guy that taught me environment is greater than will, a guy called Kelly Ritchie. Kelly, one of the greatest leadership lessons I had was I came off stage and Kelly said to me, "You're fat, lose weight."
Leadership.
And that was harsh, but I was nearly 120 kgs. I was standing on stage. I was embarking on a career to teach people how to be disciplined, how to manage their little voice. And at that stage, I couldn't manage the food I put in my hand into my mouth. Okay, well, so in that moment, I had to lead. I had to lead myself. That if I was going to stand on stage, teach people, I was going to learn how to be this person that was going to teach people personal development, that was going to teach people how to lead a more disciplined life, that was going to drive businesses and teach business owners how to be more disciplined. I couldn't do it fat.
No.
It was very, very simple.
No.
And it was such a powerful lesson. And that was a lesson in leadership. And a person who was leading me at that stage was prepared to call me on my bullshit. Now, my leadership at that moment, I could have stepped up and taken responsibility, or I could have stepped down below the line and made excuses, justify, deny. Oh, how can you talk to me so badly? And you were rude and stuff. You don't know who I am, and you don't know the problems I have. Fortunately, I didn't. I took responsibility. I looked at myself. I said, he's right. Would I have liked him to say it in a different way? Well, for me, I didn't really care. But for some people, yes, great. Well, you get lost in that nonsense. It wasn't how he said it. It's what he said. What he said was the truth.
Yes.
I can get lost in how he said it. Oh, he could have been nice and he could have set me down. You go tough shit, man. You go, the deal is I got what he said. What he said was fat, and that was the truth. When I took responsibility, I was fat. I was overweight. I wasn't living who I was going to be teaching. And you know what? For the 19 years I've been in the personal development industry, it's been one of the things that brings me back to what I do. If I hadn't have had that lesson this last weekend, I wouldn't have run 100 kilometers.
No.
I did, eh? Hey?
Why would you?
I decided that, and it's been a wonderful journey for me in leadership because I've had to lead myself. I've led myself to do things that I find very tough so that I can help other people do things that they find tough.
And without making them feel bad. And I think that's also such a beautiful thing, right? It's not, you don't run around, and I mean, even in our business or with any of your clients, you're not running around going, oh, you useless, I ran 100 kilometers. No, it's, look, I get that things are tough, but how tough can you be?
We all have our challenges, Sully. Are we taking on the challenges?
Yeah, you're
So are we taking on the challenges? So, I did a 100K backyard ultra. It's 4.2 Ks every hour on the hour for 24 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, the furthest I'd ever run in my life was 26.5 Ks before this event.
I know.
No, I did a half marathon many years ago.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
And the lead runner went the wrong direction and made us run an extra 5 Ks.
See, you need to know what you're doing when you lead it.
So I signed up to this 100K challenge.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. But once I signed up and I told people I was going to do it, and I found a mission, which was raising money for Chalk, I was in the game.
You love a mission.
Now I had to push myself for the mission. The mission was, and what I saw was, because I pushed myself for the mission, people stood up and started supporting. We had people donating. I had people in the team. We had people come and support me on the day. And you supported with social media.
Yeah.
And my wife, Nicole, was my biggest supporter. Sat there with me for friggin' 12 hours, feeding me, making sure that I was, drying my clothes so I could go out and run again. And you know the deal is, for me, that was a massive challenge. But I can take you online and I can show you a guy that's just run 272 kilometers.
Yeah.
In a backyard ultra. But the reality is, and that's the deal. Leadership is helping people, moving yourself through the next challenge by doing what you say you're going to do, so that you can help other people move through their challenges. Does that make sense? We're all at different levels, So and for me, that's the epitome of leadership. So, and guess where that goes back to? I can take that back to those words from Kelly Ritchie. Why? Because the behavior of not being able to look after my weight went into all areas of my life. So once I started disciplining myself more and more to weight, does it mean that from that day I was just friggin' Jiminy Spricket and lost all my weight? No. I mean, anyone that's known me, I've gone fit, fat. But the more I focused on it, the more I've got focused on those words, the more that discipline has come into all areas of my life. And the more I've grown and changed, the bigger the challenges I've been able to take on.
And I think that's also, it's just a fascinating thing about leadership, right? It's where people get it wrong. Leaders are not perfect people. They make mistakes. They stuff up. They are also on a journey.
Well, there's the wonderful word you put into it, people.
Yeah, so let me not say they. I'll use you as the example, right? Leaders make mistakes. They go through what they go through. They are human beings. They feel stuff as well.
We had a meeting this morning.
Yes.
And between us, we had to have, well, not harsh discussions, but just we had some open discussions. Yeah. And I made a mistake. You made a mistake. I was like, well, I didn't actually hear you say that.
For sure.
In your mind, you were like, well, you should have heard me say that. And in my mind, I'm like, well, what do you think I should have heard? And what I did heard are different things. I didn't. And
I had to stand up and also go, maybe actually, in my mind, the way I said it, I assumed you'd be able to translate what I was saying without me saying it. But then I had to actually say it. And then you went, well, I didn't hear that. I hear you now. I'm not saying I hear you now. I didn't hear you then. How do we rectify?
100%. Because that for me is leadership.
100%.
It's how do we rectify it? How do we move on? How do we play a bigger game? Not how do we go below the line? Because you could sit there and go, well, you know what? You should have heard me. If you didn't hear me, you're an asshole. You went to be the leader. And if you can't do, because you know how many times I've had that.
Yeah.
But leaders shouldn't do that. I'm like, oh, goodness me.
Yeah. which is
You know,
so
I remember one classic, but you teach responsibility.
yeah,
So how can you be irresponsible? I'm like, no, I'm a friggin' human. And for me, that's leadership. It's putting up your hand, owning it. And I think that is one of our biggest problems in the world, Sully. It's not that we make mistakes. Is that people are knowingly making, so one, they make mistakes, but they're not acknowledging responsibility for it. And two, they are knowingly doing shit that they shouldn't be doing and not taking responsibility for it.
Yeah.
And that happens in all areas of life. Leadership, though, easy word to say, hard thing to do, just like entrepreneurship. It's the most, entrepreneurship has got to be one of the most overspoken words and most misunderstood words around, just like leadership. 2 words.
We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.